Hi, my name is Courtney. I'm the director of Tapestries, which is our memory support community here at United Methodist Communities of Pittman. I am a social worker by background, and I have a lot of experience in senior care, brain injury, education, mental health, and obviously dementia care. So basically all things brain related. And it's just given me, plus my personal family experience with dementia, it's just given me a lot of passion for this that I try to share, and hopefully help make your lives a little bit easier. So that said, I'm sorry this isn't our usual live format. I am still on maternity leave. So, but I wanted to make sure that I was able to continue to bring you these meetings every month despite that. Please bear with me as I may be short of breath at times because there's a couple of children in my lungs. But all of that said, I'm glad you were able to join us today. And we're going to get started talking about caregiver stress and self-care because we spend a lot of time talking about how to better take care of your loved ones and not a lot of time always talking about how to take care of yourself so you can be the best version of you for your loved ones and for you. So this is an incredibly challenging thing to do. And if we don't take care of ourselves, it's going to make it that much harder. So the first things first, I want to talk about signs of caregiver stress. So how do you know if you're already starting to burn out? And so this might seem kind of obvious, but realistically, sometimes we just, we adapt to our situation. And so, especially if you've been a caregiver for a long time, these might be things that you've accepted as normal and aren't realizing that this could be a sign that something's up and that you really should be doing more for yourself so that you can feel a little better. So typically signs we see for caregiver stress: increased irritability, frustration, and quickness to anger. That's not just with your loved one with dementia, but in your life in general. If you find that you're moodier than usual, little things are irritating you and driving you up a wall in a way that they typically wouldn't or haven't in the past, or if you're just really quick to like lash out and explode or just need your own time, kind of say screw this and walk off, that sort of thing, it's a pretty good sign you're probably feeling a little burned out. If you have denial about what is happening, whether that's like overall general denial, like, oh, it'll get better, it's going to be fine, he's going to get better, she's going to get better, or denial about what's going on in the moment. She knows what she's doing, she's just being stubborn, she's doing this on purpose, I'm tired of this, that sort of thing. That's an indication that we're not really thinking clearly, and that it's probably stress that's clouding our judgment in those moments, particularly when we're thinking about our loved one with dementia, or if we have any teenagers in our lives. Sometimes they can make us feel the same way. I know that's my experience with mine from time to time. Withdrawing from social gatherings and activities you enjoy. And I say that even if there's a good reason, like, yes, there may be times you need to cancel plans because your loved one needs you or has an emergency situation. Going out to dinner with your high school friends is maybe less important when your loved one has fallen and broken a hip and is now in the hospital. But if that's happening chronically, or if you're just not feeling up to it, and so you start canceling things, or you find yourself doing more mindless stuff, watching more television, spending more time on your cell phone, rather than doing things you once enjoyed, reading, taking a walk, playing a sport, spending time with friends, family, whatever the case may be, that's a good sign that you're probably in a little over your head. Anxiety about both the immediate and distant future. This is, the what ifs. What do I do if this happens? If that happens? What if something goes wrong? What if I can't handle it? What if I can't care for them? Just a lot of stress about what comes next and how you're going to deal with it. Feelings of sadness and depression, especially if they're chronic, like lasting days, weeks at a time. exhaustion. And it's important to know that this could be physical exhaustion, but it could also be mental or emotional exhaustion to such an extent that it's impacting your life. You know, if you're getting a full night's sleep and waking up in the morning and still feeling like you haven't slept at all, you know, your workday hasn't even started yet and you're already feeling like it's, 5 o'clock, that's a pretty good sign that you're doing too much. Difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep, often because our mind is just racing with all the things that we have to do, whether that's you just can't get to sleep at night because you're too busy planning the next day, or whether that's you get a couple hours of sleep and then you're wide awake and already worried about what's going to happen next. But both of those are a sign that you've got too much on your mind. And difficulty concentrating, or frequently forgetting or misplacing things. If that's not your norm and you're like having a really hard time getting something done because your mind is just in a million different places, maybe you've lost your keys or your phone like 6 times today. It's a pretty good sign that your mind is not as focused on the moment as it is on other things. You've probably got too much going on. And new or worsening health conditions, including general malaise. So if you're just feeling crappy, you're feeling run down, tired, maybe you're having increased symptoms of something else. Let's say you already struggle with blood pressure and it's consistently higher than usual. Maybe you've got diabetes and you're having more highs and lows than usual because you're stress eating, or something like that. So new or worsening health conditions, even if it's just a general feeling of blah, definitely sign that there's too much stress in your life. And this is a big one because what we see a lot of is often that we put so much emphasis on caring for our loved one that we neglect caring for ourselves. And then when we get sick or when we get hurt and we have no choice but to stop, what do we do? And what does our loved one do without us? Because there often isn't somebody else to pick up that slack. So we really need to be paying attention to this and getting ahead of this. If you can't think of yourself in that way, think of it like, a car. If you don't do the routine oil changes, if you don't do the routine maintenance, eventually the car is going to break down and it's going to be a much bigger problem. Our bodies are the same way. If we don't take the breaks we need, if we don't take care of ourselves the right way, eventually our body is going to force us to take care of ourselves, usually with a much bigger problem. And hopefully not one that's so disruptive to our lives, but is that a risk you're willing to take? So if you're noticing any of these going on in your life, it's a good sign you need to step back, make some space for yourself. And today we're going to talk about how to do that. So the first thing I want to talk about is proactive self-care. These are the things we do all the time, even when life is great, just to make sure that life stays great or stays as good as possible, or that we're as well prepared as possible when life goes sideways and throws us a curveball. So some of this proactive self-care is the general everyday run-of-the-mill stuff we do to take care of ourselves. Like, that's why it's called self-care. So this is eating right, hydrating, getting enough water, getting enough sleep, getting regular exercise. Your doctor's recommendations might be different, but as a general rule, 20 minutes 3 times a week, 10 minutes a day, whatever works for you, some kind of exercise, and staying up to date with routine medical appointments and testing. Again, if we don't take care of our bodies will force us to. So making sure you're going to those checkups, getting that blood work done, seeing the dentist, all of that fun stuff, so that your body and your mind are as healthy and as well as possible, so that you're as prepared as possible to deal with whatever the day throws at you. Making time for yourself. Again, even if it's only 10 minutes a day or a few hours a week or a weekend a month or something, every person is different. So what you need to feel comfortable is up to you, but you have to do it. And I constantly hear caregivers say, well, I don't have time for that. You don't have time not to. Just like with the physical stuff, we don't take care of ourselves, our bodies and our minds will force us to. You don't want to end up having just like a total mental break because you didn't take the time to relax. You don't want to end up in the hospital because you didn't take the time to take care of yourself. So as a general rule of thumb, we should strive to make sure every day includes one thing we have to do, one productive thing that sets us up for success in the future, and one fun or personal or just for me thing. Every day should include at least something, no matter how small, that you do just for yourself, for the sake of enjoying it. That can be sitting down and having a cup of coffee uninterrupted. That can be watching your favorite show. That can be taking a walk in the park. That can be reading a book, doing a hobby, whatever makes sense to you, but something every day should be for you. Getting educated, feeling well informed makes us feel more in control when life does go sideways. So congratulations, you're here. This can be part of that. You can do research on your own. There's lots of great information websites. You can search specifically for things that you're struggling with your loved one in the moment. You can search for things specifically that are hard in your life, in your personal life, separate from your loved one in the moment. But the more information we have, the better prepared we are to deal with the situation in front of us. And that makes us feel more in control, makes us feel more confident, makes us feel better, even when life is hard. And so when we think about with our loved ones with dementia specifically, this might include proactive medical and financial planning, because those tend to be the two most stressful aspects of care for our loved ones. And getting ahead of it and knowing that it's taken care of can be a huge weight lifted off your shoulders. So absolutely, do your research, get smart, get help, do those things. Use relaxation techniques. This is one people either love or hate. People are always either like, oh yeah, I swear by yoga, or I do this every day, or whatever. Or they're like, oh, that hippie nonsense. Realistically, there will come a time when mindfulness and meditation and relaxation techniques are as universally accepted truths of well-being as eating right, drinking water, and not smoking are today. They'll become just part of that package. That's how much benefit they are proven to have. It's just a matter of getting our heads in the space to accept that. So this might be meditation, breathing exercises, visualization, progressive muscle relaxation, whatever already you do that works for you to help you calm down. And we'll do a little relaxation exercise at the end of this video so you can get a feel for all of those things. You can also Google them, YouTube search them. There's lots of great guided relaxation exercises for anything and everything. So use those resources. And identify different types of support that are available to you. This might be professional supports. If your loved one lives in our community, that's us. That's their doctors. That's, any advocates that you might have hired. If you have a senior care attorney involved, any of those professional resources. This might be personal resources, people you lean on, whether that's family or friends or a therapist or, whoever helps you deal with your own life, a mentor, a colleague that you really trust. Whether that's the people you can vent to. Mom really pissed me off today and I need somebody to talk about it with. Let's go to lunch, or the person that distracts you. I just can't think about mom anymore right now. Let's go see a movie. Let's go, have a drink. Let's go do whatever it is you like to do. Um, there's value to all those different types of support. All those different types of support have their place. So build your support network, make sure it's diverse and it touches on at least a little bit of each of those categories. All of those are things that are going to make you feel better on a day-to-day basis and that are going to prepare you so that they're in place already when things go wrong, because life happens and things will go wrong. And the more you do those things in times of calm, the easier it'll be to fall back on those things in times of stress. When we're stressed, we tend to revert to habits. So if we build healthy habits when we're peaceful, we have healthy habits when we're not. In the moment self-care. So this is a little bit different. This is like, oh crap, it just hit the fan. Things are really hard right now, and I just need to survive this moment. So this might be a fight with your loved one. This might be they just had a medical issue. This might be you just got stressful news at work and you don't know how you're going to manage it and the rest of your life. This might be your kids are driving you up a wall. Whatever the case may be, something is going on right now that I don't feel good about, and I just have to get through it. In the moment self-care. So one, take a 10 to 15 minute break, especially with our loved ones with dementia. 10 to 15 minutes can be life-changing. They are a different person every 10 minutes sometimes. You are a different person to them every 10 minutes sometimes. If you've had a not so stellar moment and just gotten in an argument with them, 10 to 15 minutes can wipe that slate clean so you can pretend it never happened and, get a fresh start. That's a powerful moment. And it also gives you a second to decompress and get out of your head. Take the break. Breathe. Oh my gosh. Breathe. We have a tendency when we're stressed to hold our breath. We have a tendency when we're stressed to do more talking, ranting, venting, which is exhaling. Not enough inhales, not enough oxygen, stresses the brain, stresses the body, makes us feel worse, kind of exacerbates the cycle, turns into a negative loop. So make sure we're breathing. If you are the kind of person that has anxiety, or if you have some breathing issues where you feel like you can't get enough air, what might be happening is that you're hyperventilating, you're breathing in too much. Try to take a long, slow exhale first, and then inhale and try to breathe normally from there. A lot of power in breathing. Fall back on what you've learned, okay? This is what you've learned about them. This is what you've learned about what works for them, what doesn't, what strategies you can try, maybe things you've learned from these videos or other support resources. But you have to remember you can't change them, but you can change you and your approach. And sometimes changing your approach makes all the difference. So fall back on what you know. Take that second to step back. Come back from a better place. Makes a world of difference. Reframe your thoughts and perspectives. So a lot of times what makes a situation worse is the way that we think about it. If something happens and your go-to response is, oh, here we go again, you're going to feel way worse than you do if you're like, okay, I know how to handle this. Just two different aspects of the same thing. I kind of think of it like if you're in a car accident, you can get out of the car and think, oh my gosh, I'm so lucky to be alive. I'm so grateful that I wasn't hurt. Or you can get out of the car and be like, oh no, how am I going to afford to fix this? And how's this going to affect this and affect that? And, and which of those perspectives you take is going to dramatically change how you feel. One is going to make you feel grateful and peaceful, and maybe a little stressed, but ultimately focus on the solution and on the things that are going right where one is focused on the problems and it's going to make you feel worse. Same is true with our loved ones and with their care. So we need to remember it's not personal, it's pathology. This is part of the disease progression. This is part of their symptoms, no matter how crazy they're driving us sometimes, because they will. It's not that they're doing it on purpose. It's not that they're trying to mess with you. It's that their brain is changing and they're doing the best they can to deal with it. And sometimes it's not so great. So if we can take it less personally, it's going to help. We can also remind ourselves that this is temporary. The reality of the situation is that, again, every 10 to 15 minutes, they might be a completely different person. But it's also, if this is a chronic problem right now that you're seeing in every visit and every time you interact with them, the disease is going to change. And so the symptoms we see are going to change. So you give it a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, and you're going to see a change in behavior that hopefully makes this problem a little easier. So remind yourself that it's temporary. And if your struggle is being hard on yourself, remember to come at those thoughts from a place of constructive criticism, not put downs. You're doing the best you can, and you can improve. Okay. We as people have a tendency to think in an all or nothing way. So if I need to improve, that must mean I'm doing something poorly. And that's not necessarily true. You can be doing well and still be doing better. There's always opportunity for improvement. So if you're struggling with thinking of yourself and your actions in a positive light, maybe try thinking of yourself in what I call the ice cream principle. So ice cream is delicious. It's good. It's wonderful. It's always great. And it can always be improved. You can throw on some toppings, add some hot fudge, add some whipped cream, add a cherry on top, and it gets better, And so you are ice cream. You're already good. And you can get better. It can be both. It doesn't have to be you're turning like a liverwurst sandwich into an ice cream sundae. It can be you're turning ice cream into better ice cream. So, you're doing great, and give yourself credit for that. And remind yourself of that, especially in the stressful moments, because those tend to be the times we're the most hard on ourselves. Use humor, use humor, use humor, use humor. I cannot stress this enough. Sometimes I think some families feel strange about this. If we're finding funny in it, then maybe that means we're not taking it seriously, or maybe that means we're being disrespectful to our loved one. Please know that finding humor in a situation is not diminishing your loved one's experience or the seriousness of what you're going through. It is purely finding a way to look at the lighter side of things so that you can keep doing the work that you're doing. So if you need to make a joke about it here and there, if you need to look back on it after the fact and say, like, you know what, that was kind of funny in hindsight, that's okay and good and healthy, and do it. That's fine. Okay. And know that it's okay to leave. I think a lot of times we put pressure on ourselves, like, they want me here. I need to be here. I need to make sure they're taken care of. I need to be with them as much as possible, and that's a lot of pressure to put on yourselves, especially at a time when they may not be the most pleasant person to be around. And so if you're having a hard day, whether because your loved one is challenging or because you're dealing with your own stuff, and this is just one more thing on your plate, and you really just need a minute to breathe or to deal with something else or to get away from them in that moment, that is okay. You are not abandoning them forever because you need a night off. It's going to be fine. So know that it's okay to leave a situation that's causing you discomfort. Know that it's okay to prioritize your needs over theirs. Okay. Just make sure you assess for safety before doing so. If you're in the middle of giving your loved one a bath, you can't really bail on them and leave them shivering in the tub, or they're gonna, get hypothermia, or, slip and fall trying to get out of the tub on their own. Get them out, dry them off, dress them up, and then leave. But it is okay to cut things short if you need a break. And of course, I mentioned in our proactive self-care slide that we want to build supportive resources. So these are just some examples of those supportive resources. Professional assistance, that might be in-home care, that might be one-on-one care sometimes, or companion care for your loved one at a time when you can't be there, or at a time when you need to do something that you just can't do alone. That might be placing your loved one in a care setting like ours, or any number of other ones. Realistically, as their needs change and increase, the odds are very good that if your loved one lives long enough, their needs will exceed what you are capable of providing. And that's not a testament to your failure. It's a testament to how complex and devastating the disease can be. If you're not a nurse, there's a point where you're not going to be able to give nursing care that they might need. There is no shame in putting your loved one in a place that can meet those needs when you cannot. And it can be actually better and healthier for everyone involved if they're getting what they need, rather than you putting pressure on yourself to provide something you can't safely do. Volunteer services. This is huge. Companionship and engagement. So maybe you just need someone to hang out with your loved one for a couple hours now and then, so that the burden isn't entirely on you to do that. Maybe you are running out of ideas for how to keep them busy, and you need somebody to sit and sing with them, somebody to draw with them, somebody to just sit and chat with them, because you can't hear the same stories over and over again anymore. You're going to lose it, whatever the case may be. Look for volunteer services to do that. Some suggestions, if you're not sure where to start, you can try local schools, local churches, local libraries, and scout troops are an awesome resource for this. A lot of high school students are looking for things to spruce up their college applications. A lot of scouts are trying to earn those badges. And they can come and do things and spend time and be kind to your loved one and keep them company to buy you a break and get a little something for themselves in return that doesn't come at any expense to you. So those are great resources, and absolutely feel free to use them. Respite care, particularly if you're caring for your loved one at home, you need a break sometimes. You just need a break sometimes. And that might be, we're celebrating our anniversary and we're going on a trip at the end of the month. That might be, I just need a break. I just need to exist in my house by myself, for a week, a month, whatever. Respite care is available. It's out there. And basically it's like checking your loved one into a hotel, but a hotel that's going to make sure they're fed and dressed and clothed and taken care of the same way that you would, but without that burden being on you for a little bit, so you can take the rest you need. Convenience services. I cannot oversell these. These might not be things that necessarily directly impact your care of your loved one, but if they take other things off your plate so that you have more time for yourself and for your loved one, they're still helping. So this is your grocery delivery and ordering services, so that you don't have to spend 2 hours at the grocery store every week. That just freed up your time. Beautiful. Mail order services, especially automated ones. If you know your loved one is going through a pack of Depends a week, put that on a subscription on Amazon and keep it moving. You don't have to think about it. It'll just show up. Life is good. One less thing for you to worry about. Automated medication refills, things like that, super powerful. We should not underestimate the power of taking small things off our plate, because often it's those small things that fall through the cracks and stress us out when they go sideways. I know a chronic issue for me is waiting too long to refill my medications, and then God forbid the pharmacy's out of it, or you have to fight with the insurance to get it covered, and then you're going days without it. That's not something you want to happen to you. It's not something you want to happen to your loved one. And then you're making 8 million phone calls and, dealing with people and arguing with people to try to straighten the situation out. That's avoidable, So by all means, use convenient services, even if they seem unrelated to what you're going through. They're still freeing up time and energy that's going to make you have more time for yourself and more time to do the things on your plate. Elder care specialists, these might be social workers, these might be elder care attorneys, financial planners, things like that. People to help you navigate the Medicaid process when the time comes are an invaluable resource, because that is an incredibly stressful process. But these people are out there. They've already navigated the system. They know what to do. They'll help you through it. By all means, look for reputable ones, check reviews, talk to people who've used them, all that good stuff. But take advantage. They're going to make your lives infinitely easier. Support groups. So this one counts. We also have another one that's run out of our Shores location, but it's available and accessible virtually, regardless of where your loved one is, or even if you're not a member of the United Methodist Communities family. So you can attend that one as well. The Alzheimer's organization offers a ton of support options. Local libraries, local churches might have great support group options for you. Check them out, see what's available. It never hurts to have more help. And again, this is one of those things, where I hear, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. You don't have time not to. Sometimes that's the single greatest thing, is that this thing that you thought of as being one more thing on your plate actually makes your plate a lot lighter to carry. And that is a beautiful thing. So make sure you're using those resources. And then I have a link here for a list of specialized services. It's an article called 50 Essential Dementia Resources. They span a whole gamut of things, everything from Veterans Affairs to specific medical needs and everything in between, but lots and lots of options. So that's something that you can check out. Lots of great resources online if you're able to search for them. Build your support network, use your resources. It's going to make your life easier. Okay. All right. So now, if you're still with me, and if you're up for trying some of that hippie nonsense, we're going to do a practice relaxation exercise. So I would like you to take this opportunity to settle in, eliminate any unnecessary distractions, silence your phone, move it away from you if the vibrations are driving you nuts, if it's going off, whatever you need to do, close the door, take a break, give yourself permission to make a few minutes for yourself right now. Okay, having done that, get in a comfortable position. You can sit, you can lie down, you can feel free to turn down the volume on the recording, shut off your monitor or your screen so that the light's not bothering you, whatever you need to do. Get comfortable. If you'd like, you can close your eyes and take a nice, deep breath. You want to breathe as normally and naturally as you can. Just focus on that breathing. When you've had an opportunity to focus on a couple of breaths, just do a quick head to toe scan of your entire body and notice if there are any areas that feel tense or uncomfortable. Feel free to shift if you need to ease that tension. Acknowledge what your body is trying to tell you. Make sure you're still breathing. And if you're finding at this point that you're having a hard time focusing, maybe your mind is running rampant with your shopping list or things to do, give yourself permission to let those thoughts go for just 5 or 10 more minutes. It might be helpful to visualize those thoughts being carried away. Maybe you're at the beach and those thoughts are French fries and seagulls are plucking them up and flying off with them. Maybe you're looking out the window at traffic going by and you're putting one of those thoughts in each car that passes and letting it drive away from you. Sometimes it can be helpful just to acknowledge that that's a thought or a feeling and let it go. Yes, I'm thinking about my to-do list. And yes, I can deal with it later. And then take a breath and try to refocus on your breathing. Now, if you're still noticing some tension in your body, we're going to try some progressive muscle relaxation. So I want you to start at your toes and curl those toes up just as tightly as you can, almost to the point that it's uncomfortable, but not quite. And hold it for a moment. And then take a nice deep breath and relax those toes as much as you can. Next, we're going to move up to our ankles. And you're going to take a moment to flex those ankles just as tightly as you can. And when they're good and tense, you're going to take a nice breath and let that tension go and relax those ankles. And we're going to do this all the way up our body, down to our fingertips and up to our head. If there are any areas where you have pain, maybe like your back or your neck, you can skip the tension part and focus just on the relaxation so that we don't make something that's already uncomfortable worse. So with that in mind, we're going to move up to our calves. Tighten those calves. If you're not sure how to do that, maybe you flex your foot, point your toes really tightly, just to help firm up those muscles and hold that as tightly as you can. And breathe and let them relax. And then we're going to move up to our thighs and our tush muscles. Clench those just as tightly as you can. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Take a breath and let that go. Feel all that tension melt away as you relax those muscles. And we're going to come up to our core. That's our belly and our back. Again, if you have back pain, feel free to skip the squeezing part here and just focus on the relaxation. If you can, tense up those tummy muscles. Squeeze those back muscles, sit up nice and straight. And hold it. And then breathe and let it go. We're going to come up to our neck and our shoulders. And again, if you have pain in this area, feel free just to focus on the relaxation part. But if you can, tighten up those neck muscles. Maybe you scrunch your shoulders up towards your ears. Whatever feels natural to you to get all of those muscles tight and squeezed. And then breathe and relax them. Drop your shoulders. Maybe roll them out a little if you need to. Roll your neck if you need to. And then we're going to come up to our biceps and squeeze those just as tightly as we can. And then relax them and let it go. Now ball up your hands and fists. Squeeze those fingers, just really white knuckled, get them really good and tight. And then let your hands relax and go limp. You can shake out your fingers if you need to. Maybe give them a little pull, a little stretch. And we're going to come up to our face and scrunch it up almost like a walnut. Just squeeze, squeeze your eyes shut, squeeze up your nose, scrunch your nose. Maybe pucker your lips like you've just eaten something really sour. And hold that squeezed position. And then take a nice deep breath and let your face relax. Now at this point, we've gone through our entire body and taken an opportunity to relax each individual piece. Do that body scan one more time and notice if anything feels better or worse or just different. If anything still needs your attention, maybe you need to roll out your neck a little bit more. Maybe you need to rub that spot on that shoulder a little bit more. That's okay. We're going to take another nice deep breath in and out. Give ourselves permission to take the relaxation we feel now with us into the rest of our day. If you've closed your eyes, now's a good time to lightly blink them open. Take a moment to take stock of the room and of your body. Take another nice deep cleansing breath in and out. And if you need a little more time, you can feel free to pause the video here and take all the time that you need. This is absolutely a great exercise for when we're sleepless in bed at night, when our body is aching from everything that we're putting ourselves through and everything we're pressing ourselves to get done. It's a great in the moment thing we can do. Somebody is on your nerves or you're in a stressful situation. You can curl those toes in your shoes, ball up those hands and fists, tighten certain parts of your body right there in a room full of people without anybody even noticing. And then let that tension go just as a way to help balance our mind and refocus our energy so that we can stay calm. It's a great tool that works for a lot of situations. And the more we do it, the easier it becomes, the more effective it becomes, and the more it becomes a healthy habit that we fall on in times of stress. So I hope after that you're feeling a little more relaxed. feeling a little more in control. If you skipped our relaxation exercise, or if it just wasn't for you, that's okay too. Hopefully, in the rest of the things we discussed today, you found some suggestions to help make your life a little easier. Some things you can do, some things you can add, maybe some things you can change to help support yourself so that you can better support the people you care for in your life. If you have any questions about this presentation, about dementia in general, about your loved one, please, in my absence, feel free to reach out to Pam Garofolo. She is our corporate director of Tapestry. She's my direct boss. And she is a wealth of both personal and professional dementia experience and knowledge and expertise. She's available to answer any questions or address any concerns you may have. Her contact information is here on the screen. So please don't hesitate to reach out to her if you need to. Next month, we'll be talking about wandering. It's very common for a lot of our loved ones with dementia. We'll talk about how to recognize if your loved one is at risk for wandering, how to make it safer for them to wander, what to do in the event that they wander and get lost, which is an incredibly terrifying experience. And so hopefully that helps you feel more prepared in case the worst should happen. So thank you so much for joining me today and for taking time both to spend some time with me and to spend some time on yourself. Please keep that up. It's priceless, and it will make a difference in the care that you give for your loved one and the quality of time you have with your loved one. So I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you next time.